Okay, so this lesson is on how to find surface area of a cylinder, a cone, or a sphere. All right, so when we're looking at the 3D figures, we're really looking at these three that I've highlighted in pink on the bottom row there. Again, a cylinder is a prism that has two circular bases. A cone is a pyramid with a circular base, and then a sphere is a solid where each point is the same distance from a center point. Okay, so on your reference sheet, you'll see this, and for surface area, this is the formula. And a lot of times that might be a little bit easier to use. Why is that the formula? Well, if you remember, a circle on the top and a circle on the bottom. Well, this formula for area of a circle is pi r squared, and we have two of them, right? So that's the circle on the top, and then you got another circle on the bottom. So that handles that. And then you also have this part here, which is like a wrap around. So it's really just a rectangle that wraps around that surface. So it's a rectangle that's like this. Now, the height is h, and then how long is this distance here? Well, it's really just the circumference of that circle, which is, remember, circumference is 2 pi r. So that's where this comes from right here, 2 pi r times h. So that's actually represents the rectangle, and these are the two circles. And that's just added together. So sometimes it's just easier to use the formula for that if you want. Or you can just say, all right, I want to find each individually, but that's where that comes from, whatever you want to do. Okay, so excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to do this and write it out, the formula, and I know where that's coming from. If you want to write out, hey, here's each circle, and then go from there, that's fine too. Whatever works best for you. So if we do 2 pi times 11 squared, I got 760 point, it's about 27. And then if I do this, you could type into your calculator this whole thing and it would get it right. So that's also totally fine. Okay, whoops. Well, it should be 0.99. Okay, now if you add everything together, I got 257.26. And then again, we're talking about area, so this is square units, square yards. So my answer is that right there. And that is surface area of a cylinder. Okay. Cones. You could, this is really the same kind of thing. You have a circular base. So if we look at this bottom here, you got a circular base like that. And then you've kind of got almost like a pie-shaped piece that wraps around the cone. And that, so this is pi r squared here, right? And this is pi times radius times L, the slant height. L represents the height up the side. That's called the slant height. So, yeah, I think for this one, it's just easier to use the formula. But in this particular case, we would have, all right, let's see, this would be pi times 7 squared plus, I guess maybe that's in parentheses would be a little better. Pi times 7 times 11.4. Okay, and let's do it. Okay, just type in this whole thing into my calculator. If you do that, you should get 404.64, and then again square units, so square meters in this case. There we go. Not too tough. Just be careful. If they don't give you the slant height and they give you this instead, you might have to use Pythagorean theorem to figure out that. So that's the only cautionary tale on this one. Okay. And then the last one is a sphere. And then I want to take a look at a composite figure. But for a sphere, the surface area is simply just this formula right here. And this is pretty simple to use, right? 4 pi times 2.8 squared. And then you want to type that into your calculator. So I got 98.52. And then square meters. Okay. So the surface area of that sphere right there. All right. Okay, so now I want to try, hopefully that makes sense, but now I want to try a composite surface area 1. Okay, so what do we have? We have a cylinder on the top, right? Or I mean on the bottom, and we have a cone. This is a cone, right? And this one, cylinder. Okay, so the cone, the formula for a cone is pi r squared plus pi r L. But in this particular case, we do not have the bottom part. We don't have the circle, the base is covered up. So we're not going to be talking about that circle part. Okay. We also have a little bit of an issue here. We don't have, we do have the radius there as 3. It's going to match that. But we don't know what the slant height is here. So our L is missing. Okay. So we're going to have to figure that out. Okay. Before we do that, let's talk about the cylinder. So a cylinder is 2 pi r squared, which represents the 2 circular bases. And then plus the wrap around it, which is 2 pi r h. Now, the top circle, this right here, is covered up as well. So we also don't have that. So we only have one surface, that's the bottom, that we have to think about the surface of that and making sure we're talking about that. Okay, so that's really what we're dealing with. I think the first thing we want to do is figure out what our slant height is in this triangle here. So let's do that. We've got 3 squared plus 5 squared is equal to L squared. Figure out what our slant height is. So that's 9 plus 25 is 34. Okay, so L is, right, take the square root of both sides. That's going to be the square root of 34. I mean, we get about, 5.83. Okay. So let's plug that in. Our radius is 3. So now we can do that. Let's do pi times 3 times 5.83. Okay, 54. I put the whole decimal in there, not rounded, so that might make a little bit of difference. But if you do this, you get about 54.96. Okay. So that's for the cone at the top. So we have that. I'm going to highlight that just to remember that, hey, that's the one we're talking about. And then down here, okay, we've got three is our radius. Our height is 10. Okay, so we got 9 pi plus 60 pi. Okay. That gives us 216.77. Okay. Now we're gonna add that together. Let's see what we get. 271.73 square centimeters. So that is the surface area of that composite solid. Okay, and that's how you do those. That's surface area of a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere. I hope that makes sense. Go ahead and write it into your planner, and when you're done, go ahead and turn it in. Good luck on the assignment. See ya. Bye.